Welcome to Worlds Beyond. I'm Jared Walters. You're listening to Ron the Radio, and we're on another on-location interview. We seem to be doing more on-location these days, but hey, it's a lovely location. We're sat here in my living room. I'm here with Richard Oliver, who is now set up, on the very regions of setting up Paranormal Now.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Richard Oliver, how are you?
All right, bud. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. All good, bud.
All good, all good. So, what's the word on the street then, bud? What's going on? What projects have you got to inform us all about today?
Well, I only just started a Facebook page at the minute, which was a nightmare because I'm not very technically minded. But yeah, I'm trying. I'm in the middle of working out to set up a web page. But I got a couple of investigations lined up as we speak.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've got a couple in Cardiff. This one in Merthyr. So I'm just waiting to hear now.
Are these private or are they actually venues?
Private.
Ah.
So just waiting to see now. A couple of them have sounded a bit new, but
So what sort of things have we got now in the paranormal pipeline then? Can you divulge any information or?
Well, I'm trying to set up a few things. I'm hoping to set up a couple of things in Ponty.
Yeah? What's happening in Ponty then?
Well, I'm hoping to set up a few things. They're closing they're on about closing the Mooney, and I'm hoping when the new group take it over, I'm going to try and sort out a few things with them.
So what sort of, can I ask what sort of stuff, or is that going to be?
I don't know.
I
don't. This is the thing. I don't know. They want to speak to me more than anything. So I'm just waiting to see.
Could we do a paranormal investigation in the Mooney?
Well, I would like to.
That could be part of the.
I want to get one in the old council offices.
If you can do that, we can get Hugh along to put it as part of the Paranormal Ronda project.
Well, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the old council offices because I know they were notoriously haunted. And
notoriously haunted.
Yeah, I would. Well, they're quite famously haunted. I would like to get in there and do some investigating. Just to see, because quite a few people now have told me about the stories there. People who used to work there back in the day and stuff, and I would like to investigate that. I'm working on a little project which I've got to keep quiet with Putney Museum, which will be interesting, but it's going to couple of months work invested in that.
Yeah.
Yes, but yes, it's all kicking off. The main goal is to open a centre really, for people to come and share stories and have somewhere to come for meetings and to meet other people that's been through it.
And stuff.
Yeah, and just who's interested in it, and different courses and different things, and that's my big project now, is trying to set something up in South Wales for people to come.
Are they like disused community halls or anything like that going?
No, I've looked and it's the money it is. It's like, you've got to charge people a stupid amount of money. Yeah. And that's what I do. I want it to be free. I want it to be free for everyone. So that's what, it's hard. Yeah, but
you'd have to look into different sets of funding streams and that kind of thing. So if anyone listening wants to fund a spiritual centre in South Wales, and let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a look for Richard Oliver on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll meet you anyway.
Yeah, www.facebook.com/spiritual worlds. We have a slight connection problem with the internet today. Our Technomatron is down and the robots are complaining, so unfortunately we can't actually reach the website until the show goes live tomorrow. So I think what we should do is have a little bit of fun today, and should we think of some nice paranormal topics we could have a chat about, and just different things that we could look into. One of the things I want to talk to you about first is you're quite a keen researcher, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yes.
So what sort of stuff do you like researching, which is not paranormal, but not sort of ghost hunt paranormal, but what other kind of things are you interested in researching?
I'm interested in everything. I'm interested in UFOs. I'm interested in people, especially like famous people and like scientists.
Yeah.
And academic types who have a lot of interest in the paranormal, and it gets missed.
People like Dr. Michael Newton, for example, who does a lot with regression hypnotherapy, or people like, I can't remember, the one that does pioneered the holographic reality, the hypnotist.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, well, yeah, people like that. Yeah, all people really like, but the old like Tesla and people like that as well, and things like that. It all fascinates me. It just there's not a part of it that doesn't. I gotta be honest.
Arthur Conan Doyle, for example, who was a keen spiritist back in the day. Yeah,
you'd be surprised. So I read some interesting facts the other day. I had a funny one. I was reading 10 interesting facts about Ghostbusters. The movie.
Good old Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, and
well, Dan Aykroyd,
who was the black guy? Who's Winston?
I can't think.
Joe, we don't have the internet to look it up either.
Yeah, but Dan Aykroyd's grandfather was a paranormal investigator.
Never.
Yeah, and Slimer was based on Joe Belushi?
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci, sorry. And he passed away. He was the main character. He was going to take what's his name? Bill Murray's role. He was the original cast.
Hang on, it can't be John Belushi. I mean, not
John Belushi. Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was thinking Joe Pesci, because Joe Pesci did Goodfellas.
Yeah, John Belushi.
He was in like Home Alone, which was which significantly after Ghostbusters 2.
Well, he was the original.
That would be paranormal if
Yeah, but that's what they based Slimer on.
Alright.
So I was like, it was, silly things like that, but it was the fact that Dan Aykroyd's grandfather was an avid paranormal investigator.
And that's why you got into it.
Yeah, that's really sort of like come up with the concept, and yes, it's just, it's just how much it goes back, the paranormal.
So, question then, right? What do you think about how the paranormal is? I'll give you a question, right? 2 films, right?
Right.
Let's take the paranormal spiritual as in, like, stuff like mediumship, Reiki and all the rest of it, right? As like kind of the one, well, as one then, okay?
Yeah.
And the worst representation in film of, no, we'll go with paranormal, right?
Yeah.
As in, things go bump in the night and all the rest of it. But the worst representation and the best representation of it. So what film have you watched you think, oh my god, there's nothing like this? And obviously they're trying to take themselves seriously.
I don't really... The problem is, I don't really watch many paranormal films, to be honest with you. The last 2 I watched The Conjuring, because I like the real couple who were part of the film.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah, I like them. Obviously far-fetched.
Yeah, because the actual Conjuring, it takes place over 10 years.
Yeah.
The actual story takes place over... But like, you even find like, different shows, like Paranormal Witness is the only show I know that does like reconstruction now.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I've laughed at some of the stuff on that. Yeah. It's like they had a demon infestation in someone's house, and the girl's under the bed, and she goes out the bed, and all you see is this guy's face going,
yeah. Well,
it's just red light. I think it's blowing the computer up.
Yeah,
look at it.
The thing is, yeah, sometimes these shows they just, you think, oh my god. But in some cases, which I've dealt with cases myself, they do actually happen.
So how true to life is Paranormal Activity then?
Well,
am I going to wake up one day and Sam's just stood there in the doorway going...
Well, you've heard yourself, Jamie, and you not long ago on Investigation, you've heard a growl.
Yeah.
Right? And I've seen somebody physically...
been lifted
in the air.
We've seen possession.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's one of them things, isn't it? I mean... they do take you too far, but it's like from the Entity. I mean, there's some parts of the Entity are true, some parts you just think, really, really though. Do you know what I mean? Is it,
What about the Exorcism of Emily Rose? Because that was based on like a true story, wasn't it?
Well, it's based. They say based on a true story. I mean, the facts. I mean, I've read a little bit about it. I mean, it's a bit OTT. I mean, most of this is the thing. The way they portray them, you watch them, and you're frightened.
Yeah.
And you think, oh my god, if that happened to me, I would just die. Right? I would just keel over.
People then naturally become frightened of the spiritual.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a design behind that?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, I know I've been on cases and I've had things happen, and they make you. I mean, I've nearly run, and I tell all the team all the time, don't run. You must never run because when you hurt yourself, and when you're not supposed to because you're documenting something. So why are you running away from it?
It's like most of the times there's a vet Fielding's eyeball being filmed by a Sony Handycam and she's screaming like a bloody little girl.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, I mean, I've gone in buildings and I've thought, I've found it physically hard to walk around the corner.
Yeah.
Because I thought if there's somebody standing there, I don't know how I'm going to react.
Yeah.
You know, even over the years I've done it. But, it makes it too much, like.
Do you know what I feel was really good, like, representation and slightly off topic or off kilter? The Sixth Sense. Yeah. I love The Sixth Sense. Though, don't get me wrong, we don't, as mediums, we don't see the dead walking around as walking corpses. It is, love and empowerment, not The Walking Dead.
Well, the same mind, the case I've been dealing with recently, the people involved, actually, the one person involved actually does see them like that, and actually does see them actually in person. And
I can see them in person.
No, but I mean, as the last event that happened to them, that's how they show themselves. So if they were,
why is that?
This is what we're trying to get to the bottom of. I mean, it's kind of strange. It's a kind of strange case. I mean, it's the person had to have an operation where he died.
Right.
So they brought him back, and it happened to him twice before, but on this last occasion, it sort of like triggered something, and he just can't turn it off. So I mean, it's pretty intense what's happening to him. But
mad, isn't it? Yeah, some of the experiences that people sort of to go through.
I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. That's why it annoyed me a bit, because when they make a mockery of it, right?
Yeah.
But because people do go through, they may be going through something very, very similar to what you see in the movies.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean? And sort of like, if they told someone, he'd be like, "Oh, you watched that movie, didn't you? You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
That's what the part of it would get me. I mean, I like them. I love my films. But I tend to stay away from the horror films.
Now, I don't mind a good ghost scare. I don't like horror films because, I don't like just human on human violence. I deplore it, and I don't think there's any logical. The only logical use for violence in any sort of way, shape, or form is disarm, which is why a lot of martial arts and major martial arts are all based on you learn it so you don't have to use it, and that's why they have a spiritual aspect to it. Kung Fu, Aikido, Judo, they all have like the sort of key spiritual aspect to it, which means that you use violence to disarm if you need to, but then you let the spiritual side take over and not the blinding rage.
Yeah, I mean, I like action films. I do like. I gotta be honest, I love films, but I tend to stay away from ones that like
just creep the pants off you.
Yeah, they take the mick. I don't know. I just because Hollywood, they rewrite the wheel. So
yeah.
So I mean, like I remember when the Blair Witch Project came out, and I did like that film.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually see what is happening in M14s.
Yeah, and that's the scariest thing.
Yeah.
That's good, that is, because it's like I watched Hostel, and that film's just full of people being cut up, and it's just sickening to watch. And
frightening,
fucking horrific. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to go through the editing process again. It's horrific, but like the most horrific scene is when you see this body piled up, it's been chopped up, and the guy's, you know, the captor is working on the captive and, you know, doing slicing and dicing. The camera pulls out and you see this corridor, this huge corridor of doors with other people screaming. You know, behind those doors is your own worst nightmare, multiplied by a factor of 12.
And you can imagine, you know, when you like, it's like urban myths and you hear stories about things like that. I mean, so many people go missing in the world every day. So you think, oh, is that, you know, that could be real.
It's like 150,000 people, like, a year in London go missing. It's ridiculous. I actually did some research. It's like ridiculous amounts of people.
It's insane. If people knew how many people go missing a year around the world, it's absolutely bonkers. And I mean, just disappear off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, there's paranormals.
Was it the rapture? Well, probably more like demonic cults and stuff.
Well, it's
the guys around our country.
It is very, you know, you think we know so much from watching telly and the news and that, but we know nothing.
Well, no.
I mean, if that's the case, we know nothing.
It's actually scary how we look into it. There's a documentary I want to tell you about. I'm not going to tell you about it on the good old. But it's on my Facebook wall, my personal Facebook wall. Watch that. A good friend of mine posted it. I'll tell you about it after we finish the interview. But there's do you find that paranormal organisations then tend to overplay the scary part of it and underplay the spiritual part of it? Now, don't get me wrong. I understand a team of people that might want to go in and concentrate on the scientific aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because at least then they might be doing something which is helping in a larger term. But I think there's a lot of sort of cowboy paranormal investigators out there.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean,
I see on my Facebook feed all of that, and not so much over here.
It's like, I tell you, I do watch a lot of them. I do watch a lot of shows. I watch Haunted Collector, Ghost Adventurers, Ghost Hunters International, Destination Truth. I mean, that's one of my favourites. I like Ghost Adventurers as well. I like the boys, Zach and that.
Yeah.
The thing is, they get evidence every single time, right?
Yeah.
And that is a big debate. I know through the paranormal world, right? There's a lot of people that debate about that, like on Facebook and stuff. But the thing is, I've never not gone somewhere and not had something happen.
Yeah.
Because you go in somewhere where people say paranormal things happen.
But isn't it true that the paranormal is around us, all the spiritual, of which the paranormal is an aspect, is around us all the time anyway?
Yeah.
So you could create paranormal stuff in this very room.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this is the thing. If you go into somewhere that is historically paranormal, there's a good chance, and you go in there to document it, at the time it's happening, it's a good chance you're going to capture something. I mean, they do a lot for the field. I personally quite like, I really do. I like them because they do a lot for the field on their technology and their science.
What about the fact that they don't actually have anyone who's spiritually minded with them then?
That's the only thing I don't like with any of these groups, and I will say is, like, especially tours and, I mean, venues to do it. If you go there and you contact the spirit, then ask them, do they want help? And help them.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, like, I gotta be honest, it gets my goat up, because at the end of the day, as a person who's gone to all that effort to communicate with you, the decent thing to do is ask them why they're stuck there.
It's strange, because people don't actually ask the question, why is this activity happening?
Yeah.
And people don't actually, attribute it to, they can do all the Ouija boards and all the God knows what else, and all the different investigations, or get the spikes on the EMF, or the K2s or whatever, but why is it happening? And I think, if this is actually given, as a lot of paranormal investigators do, they actually give quantifiable evidence. So someone will come through and pick up information beyond a ghost box, which is historically corroboratable. I don't know if that's a word. Corroboratable? Are we corroboratable?
I know what you meant. That's close enough.
Do we know what corroboratable means? Yeah, but so why don't I ask? Why are these people here? Now, there's a good deal of time with a historical place, like they just want to be there. Do you know what I mean? 9 times out of 10, that's where they live their lives and they're quite happy, and they'll move on from there when they're ready. And as we've discussed in previous interviews, time works differently over there.
But it's the thing, why are they there? Why haven't they gone into the light? Are they stuck there? Are they there for a reason? Are they there because they just want to be? Are they afraid of the light? Or what's going on? And then obviously find out if they're stuck, help them.
Yeah,
if that's what you can do. If you might not know how to do it, but if you don't know how to do it,
at least you could try and find someone who does.
Yeah, find someone who does know how to do it.
Yeah, and
it doesn't matter what the consequences. You just go and do it.
But at the end of the day, even residual energy will give enough for a ghost tour or a ghost, an investigation. Because especially a lot of these sites that people choose, they don't just choose, 10 John Street in Pentra or something. And they, they'll I don't know, 10 whatever street in London or something. They'll choose somewhere that has some sort of historical significance, because at least with that you can corroborate the evidence. And I think most haunted did actually they did do it, didn't they? They used to get rid of the
They used to do seances, and fair dues, they did used to have the spirits to try and move on, because they used to have a medium on board every time.
Yeah.
So they did do that on numerous occasions.
What if you don't advocate mediumship then? Because obviously people do it and they have different. I suppose by saying this, you could say we are biasing against a certain belief system.
Well, it's fair enough to prove the paranormal, which a lot of these TV shows do. They prove there's something paranormal going on.
Or at least give evidence to it.
Yeah, but it's more help. I just personally, because that's what I'm used to, is just help the person. Find out if they need help, and if you can help them. It's all well and good getting the lights to flash and the EVPs and the whatnot, but
getting evil demons to chase down corridors and stuff.
Yeah, it's lovely on film, but it's not it's not what it's about. It's a person at the end of the day, and if you have the power to help, it's like, I believe that in life, if you have the power to help someone, you should really
give it a shot.
You should try your best.
Help someone to help themselves. What's it? Light the man on fire, be one for a night, set a man on fire, be one for the rest of his life. Do not try this at home. And I'll probably be the guy on fire, actually, because my history, I've been on fire like 9 or 10 times now in my life.
That's not good. Yeah, that's not good. But I've been electrocuted about 7 times.
I've actually found my opposite number. So I reckon, I found a brilliant video on YouTube, right? It was at the top 30 superpowers.
Oh yeah.
That have been. I sent it to you. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I got 3/4 of the way through, and I had to go out then. So, but yeah.
Well, the last 10, anyway, it's like Ori Davis, clairvoyance and stuff. But like pyrokinetics.
Yeah.
You've actually, it's a good BBC documentary about. Now I thought it was actually Richard Dawkins, but I don't think it's Richard. It might be Richard Dawkins actually,
right.
But I don't think it is him. That actually went and they did a demonstration of pyrokinetics in front of him, and I thought, well, that's weird, because obviously I know what, I know what I know what his viewpoints are. He's quite fundamentalist, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. But and he had this other guy, the same guy, and he went to isolation after because he pushed a pencil through a table.
Yeah, that's the guy I watched. Yeah, he was heating up people one year, and he was like, he was in chi, and he was pushing it into people. Yeah, and he did. Yeah, it was a chopstick. He was, and he hit the chopstick, and it cut one of the presenters' faces, and now it knocked him, and he just said he left. Well, he just left the documentary. He didn't return, and I think because it was against his spirituality. But he did some really strange things on camera.
It's like, do you, when you actually go into an investigation, you see that, because every time you go to one, you always experience something new. I've never had that before, that kind of thing. Do you ever doubt it? Or doubt the person that's giving you the experience? Or how do you sort of verify then who, what they're saying is true?
I normally go with somebody phones. If I speak to someone on the phone, I can tell if they've really had an experience or not. I mean, you can tell when somebody's like just going through the motions, and then you can tell somebody's genuinely frightened.
Yeah.
You mean just straight away on the phone, like. But I go with the philosophy: I believe you until I can prove otherwise.
Yeah.
Because I've seen enough. I don't need to like go, oh yeah, whatever. I believe you. It don't matter what you tell me. I'll go right until I can prove otherwise. Until I can debunk it, or like I said, prove otherwise. I go with believe. Because there's so many things, there's so many possibilities, and like we've only just like we're just on the skin of the rice pudding at the minute.
Yeah.
So there's no, you know what I mean. There's a lot we know nothing about.
Now this is a question that I was having a debate with a friend a couple of weeks ago, well, about a month or two back now, and we said, I'd watched this documentary and I was tamping about it. We had this kind of scientist guy and he was hooking people to electrodes in a haunted castle, and he was doing it in the daytime, right? Yeah. And he was saying that basically what happens on paranormal investigations is people have collective hallucinations and all this sort of stuff. It's just people responding to their environment and this, But like, what do you feel about people who make judgments like that?
But what I would have thought a collective hallucination would be paranormal.
Oh, interesting.
It's not normal, is it?
Like, define normal.
Yeah. So, I mean,
people who belittle it then, and my friends say, well, if that guy is doing a field of parapsychological research, why should he take a night out to actually go on an investigation?
Yeah.
And take part in it? Why should he go and to go and scare himself or something? Why should he take that time out of his hard day? Because science is of the opinion that it doesn't exist.
It's both sides of the coin. See, you got some people who want to believe, I think, right?
Yeah.
And they will try anything. I mean, the thing is with the paranormal, you can create what is happening.
Yeah.
Right? On a paranormal level, right? It's
yeah.
easy to create because what's happening can be ever so slight.
Mm.
This is a good example, orbs, right?
Yeah.
This is a good example, right? So science says they're dust, they're bugs, they're this, they're that, right? But like Ghost Adventurers, the guy built, their scientist who works on the show for him, built a device that sends out like a radar. I'm not technically minded.
You're not science, dude.
No, I'm not. I love science, but I'm not very technical. When it comes to gadgets and gizmos, I'm a bit like... But it sends out a signal that comes back.
Yeah.
And they filmed an orb coming past one of the presenters, and it picked it up on this frequency. And it picked it up on the K2. Right? So, and it did it about a couple of times now, and it's happened every time. So there's science behind what they're seeing.
Yeah.
And that's harder to debunk.
Yes.
Right? That gives what this orb is, it could only happen if this orb was giving off energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what I mean. I mean, it's like, I think there's some people that just want to see it so much that they sort of like try to say it's this, to get to the point where it's absolute paranormal.
Mm.
And there's some people that just experience it so much, they don't need the absolute. They just believe it anyway. So
what about the other side of it then? The people who don't want to believe it or think it's bogus?
Well, yeah, obviously because they, some people, it's like I got a very good mate. He's never had anything paranormal happen.
Mm.
He wouldn't know if it did if he come up and slapped him.
Yeah.
Right? So, because he's quite close-minded, and he's experienced nothing paranormal. So, I mean, it's like, is that because he doesn't believe he hasn't experienced it? It's weird. Yeah. It's a weird
I don't
concept.
necessarily think though the skeptical people are close-minded, because
I
know some good skeptical people who actually keep me grounded, and they're not close-minded.
No.
They just don't believe it.
No.
They believe there's something happening.
Yeah.
But it's a far stretch to say the ghosts are causing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, yeah, it's. They just don't want to. I don't know. It's like my mate. I don't think he'd like to experience it, to be honest with you. Even though he doesn't believe it, I don't think it'd suit him. So, I mean, I think it would affect him if it happened to him.
Mm.
So I think that's why it doesn't.
Interesting.
So, let's do a little bit on UFOs then, shall we?
Right, so we're going to talk about our collective research on UFOs.
Yeah.
So, what sort of stuff to do with UFOs, aliens, and all the rest of it have you been looking into lately then?
The last one I looked at was The Stranger in the Pentagon, which I did discuss.
What's that all about then?
It's about a chap turns up at the Pentagon. He was brought there by 2 officers. He was supposed to be a refugee from some planet.
Alright. Planet like Klingon or something?
Well, yeah, basically, like from Vulcan or something. And he
Kronos for the Star Trek.
Yeah, I tried to think. And for some reason his name escapes me because my memory is just.
Let's call him Keith.
Yeah, Keith, because my memory is terrible. But yeah, he stayed there for a while, and apparently now he lives by a lake with the other members of his group in a ship that's invisible. So.
Alright.
It's quite obviously that doesn't sell the story very well, but there is a book on it called Stranger at the Pentagon, and it is a fascinating read. Like.
So what sort of evidence is there that kind of backs this up then?
There's photographs of the guy in various like events what to do with
he could just be like some just random guy.
Yeah, he could.
No, I could see you're a stranger from
yeah.
I was thinking rhyme with stranger then, but I can't think of it.
A stranger from Ranger. Yeah, that was the last story I read.
You could just be some random guy from Dubai.
Yeah, that was a really, I gotta be honest, it was a really interesting read. Like, so if anybody's interested in that's a good, interesting, strange. It's hard to believe, but on the last one it was the Inner Earth. I was reading quite a bit on that with Antarctica and what's his name, old Captain. Mere names. I tell you, so much in there. See,
I don't know.
It's like a puzzle.
Davis.
Yeah.
Jones.
I should try and get these names right. I should try and memorise them before I start telling these stories. Yeah, but that was the last. Them were the last 2 sort of big stories I was looking into, which I've looked into before, but I just sort of gone back to them because I like to find. I was taught when I was in the church, I was taught that everything's like a puzzle, and if the piece fits, then it's obviously the piece. So there's like a pattern. I like to find patterns in things that corroborate. Like, so that's what I try and do when I research. I don't just go with what people say. I try and find, is there other evidence to corroborate their story that's nothing to do with their story, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's...
So where does that fit in with the guy from Dubai then?
Well, there was a lot of incidences, back in the 50s and 60s with UFOs, because, I mean, it exploded after Roswell. And there's some bizarre stories that have come out of what the Pentagon did and different things they were involved in, and because the Philadelphia Project and all that come out after it, and different things. Like, I mean, so I try and find the jumps, because they say this jumps. They if there's ETs, they've done stuff without technology, and they for a trade. You know what I mean? And is there jumps? Where are the jumps like? And I that's how I do my research.
Yeah.
So that's how I've always done it. I mean, that's how I told you I'd done it back in the day. Like me and my mate, we researched stuff, and we tried to find stuff that you wouldn't associate as a link, but it's there.
Yeah, exactly. I think you look at different researchers who are heading up their field, and it's like putting the dots together. Then I suppose. That seemingly different things that are not connected, and then when you actually find the connection between them, it's like, oh right, so that's how it works.
An interesting one was they found this. I don't know if obviously if people are listening and they're into this, they found a vermilia.
Is it vermicular?
It's a weird word.
Yeah, it's a vermicular.
But it's like an Indian name for a UFO, and they found one in a cave in.
I think it was like a Hindu legend, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was Afghanistan it was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was in a cave in Afghanistan. And it was an Indian legend where it was one of the demon gods or something was housed in this ship or whatever. It was like...
It was in Ezekiel, I think. Ezekiel said it.
Right.
One of the things, I think it's in the Bible, one of the stories they kept out. But they found this ship, and it's in a time well. But what I find strange is at that time they found the ship, which leaked before the UFO story. Quite a few, like the president and quite a few other prime ministers and high officials actually turned up at this area, which the person who was like in charge and whoever was taking charge of like all these well-to-do people being there, it sort of got leaked from there, which I find really strange, because they were actually they were transported to this place in the desert. And they all sort of
like in cars, Monday transport.
Yeah. No, obviously in UFOs, no. But they actually were there, which was actually leaked before the actual UFO story, which I find things like that, I think, well, that gives it a bit of depth to the story. Yeah, things like that's how I research. So,
have you had any personal experience with UFOs then?
Yes, I have a couple of occasions. The one I can remember the most was in 2008, and it was just before the one with the police helicopter, the incident where they chased the UFO over St. Athens Way.
Yeah, it was over the Seven Bridge, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. In 2008, there was a massive UFO sighting, and it went across the country. And it was the first night I was going out with the people I was in the church with, doing sitting in the circle, and it was the first night we socially went out.
Yeah.
And I saw it in the sky, and it was a triangle with 3 lights in each corner, and I witnessed this thing, and it was just massive. I'm not exaggerating. It was massive, and I was waiting for a taxi, and I can remember the taxi driver got out of the taxi, and he was like, "What are you looking at, that?" And I was in a daze, because first of all I thought it was lanterns, and I will admit I thought it was lanterns, and then I saw this thing change its shape and turn in the sky. And then slowly move off in a different direction. And this taxi driver was like, "What was that? What is that like?" And I was like, "I don't know." But the UFO Society in America came over here to investigate the sighting, because it wasn't just like my sighting; it was like a national sighting. And I saw it myself, and it was pretty. It was. I'm not going to joke. It was bizarre.
A bit like the Phoenix Lights then.
And
stuff like that.
Yeah, it was bizarre. It was massive. Because the distance between where I was and it was miles. Yeah. And it was still massive. So this object was pretty big. I mean, that's my favourite encounter.
So, have you had any recent ones?
The last one was about 2 months ago, and I always look at the sky. It's like a habit now. I can't help it. I always stargaze, even in the day I do it as well. And I saw something really strange in the sky, and it did an actual L shape, and it literally turned in an L shape, and it was like, it blew my mind. I tried to follow away. I ran to the front of the house because I was like, whoa, and it was just gone. But to see it was quite, because I watch stuff, and I watch the skies, and I know how aircraft act and different things. This was something else. So that was about the last one. It was about 2 months ago.
How did you get into this interest into this sort of field of like research and study then?
I've always just been fascinated by it. My uncle, when he was younger, there's a few stories back in the 70s and the 60s around Wales, some massive ones that were brought out when the files, after like 60 years, they got released them.
Yeah.
And there's a couple in Wales, but my uncle, when he was younger, he was up in Penalty Pit, and the whole village witnessed a UFO. And my uncle actually witnessed it like close, to the point where he ran through my nan's front door, holding his bike. He actually carried his bike. He was so frightened. He didn't ride it. He didn't want to lose it because it was new. and he carried it. But this was witnessed by the village. This is a news article in the library apparently in Australia about it, like. But you know, it's just, I think it's just stemmed from when I was younger. I've just always been
really interested in it, and
yeah.
So, I know you were telling me, you know, what, you know, do you sort of build up like sort of theories about it, or you know, do you write about it on blogs or stuff, or is it just something that you sort of
I just sort of like, I just research it. I just try and find the pieces that fit.
What avenues do you use then?
I just use like the internet. I got books on it. I mean, I look at other people who have said it, or all the different type of witnesses. I mean, you go through and different things. I mean, you look at the evidence where they find in like that city they found in the jungle. I think it's something like 80% of all artifacts found are depictions of ETs, and 20% are of humans. I mean, that's how. I mean, in our society, in our culture, I mean, 20% of our culture would probably be ETs, because it's quite a big subject.
Yeah.
And 80% would be us. So I mean, it's sort of like things like that. I think, well, so what were they? Were they people?
What were they inspired by?
Yeah, and it's like apparently there's so much evidence of it. If you took it to a court of law, you would win. That's, you know, things like that fascinate me. It's like,
so why isn't it in the public domain now?
I mean, I don't know if people could accept it as a people. I don't think they. There's so many. I mean, you take a religion, fundamental religion, is the biggest part of this world as a culture, right? In different aspects of religion, what it is, and it goes sort of it sort of like goes against it, doesn't it? So I mean, that would be a good reason to keep it quiet. I mean, it would be a good enough reason to keep it quiet.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think that's why it's kept quiet.
Do you think it's something more sinister than that?
Well, it could be. I mean, it could be. I mean, maybe they gotta keep it quiet. I mean, because it is sinister. You know what I mean? Maybe, you know, we're talking back in the day when these. I mean, it's different now without technology, but still, I mean, 1 EMP, and that's it. We're back in the dark ages. Do you know what I mean? Something as simple as that. Without our technology, we are literally throwing stones.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a good enough reason, isn't it? I mean, if that's, we're powerless basically. So that would be one reason. So
that was a really enlightening conversation about UFOs. I, for one, will bow down to our evil overlords.
I won't.
No. So, in terms of sort of investigation, have you ever done any sort of UFO investigations?
Yes, I did one in Brecon. There's a good spot up in Sennybridge. I'd like to do one down St. Athens. We did one in Leckwith, because there's a famous UFO story in Leckwith.
Right.
That happened in the 70s. I think it was like 78 or something like that. Which quite a few people from Cardiff witnessed it.
Yeah.
You know, this one landed. So, I mean.
Well, so that's this.
Well, it was in the fields behind Leckwith. I mean, the craft came down, and things got out, and walked about, and then got back in, and the craft left. But it was witnessed. It's not a very famous story, but I've actually spoke to people over there, and every story is the same, is identical. Some had more of an interaction than others, but I mean, whoever saw this, the people I spoke to that saw this, it changed their lives. So it wasn't something they just imagined. It physically changed their lives. It actually made them like go into the field of research.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, it's not something you just thought, oh, that's what that is. They just imagined it.
Yeah.
This was actually life changing. So that says a lot, doesn't it?
So what happened then? the average sort of skeptic or anyone sort of really in the, your average sort of sociological mind would say, well, if that happened, it would be something that was, national news, especially in a capital city.
No, I mean, it's like my father's, he lived in Loughborough,
right,
in London, and years ago they had a massive UFO sighting over London.
Yeah.
Now my father saw this object for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a fleeting glimpse. He watched this thing move miles in direction, stop dead, and it was a cigar-shaped object, and it did make the news, but that's all it did.
Yeah.
And then they tried to say it was a weather balloon. Now my father's been in.
What cover did he use for let words then? It was just a prank by some students or something.
I don't know. I really don't know. It's like anything. It's such a long time ago. The story guess. It's like anything. I mean, we could say we've seen the entire village now to see a UFO land on the mountain across the us, right?
Yeah.
Now you tell everyone, but the time that story gets to Pontypridd, how many times has that changed?
Yeah.
Right? Now the police officers could come up here and see it all, right? Now they got to report it. The newspapers come up here and you heard about the story. They report it.
Yeah.
Then 5 years down the line, where's that story gone? Yeah. So this is what I think happens like with these stories. They just sort of like get watered down.
Yeah.
And they lose what really was a major event.
Yeah.
And I think they're supposed to get watered down, right? Like I said, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
But these things happen.
There we go. So you're listening to Worlds Beyond. This is Jared Walters in the kind of studio with Bagel, who's sleeping, and Richard Oliver from Paranormal Now Investigations Wales.
I'm not sleeping yet.
He's not sleeping yet. He's about to, but we can drive home first because you can have the couch, but I'm not feeding you. I don't have food for myself. I'm really poor.
You're a dog.
So we're talking about not eating the dog.
A leg each. The chicken.
Dog is fine. We like dog. Dog is good. Just as she is. Is, and I think Sam would have an objection to us talking public on the radio about eating the dog. We're not French. Doing a lot of research into cruelty-free foods and cruelty-free cosmetics and stuff lately.
Oh yeah.
Because I know the European Union have banned animal testing.
Yeah.
But there's loads of companies. I looked at lists of companies that do it. And the companies like cosmetic companies, you have every single brand you can think of tests are on animals.
There's so many.
It's ridiculous.
And foods and stuff.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, question. I thought we were going to pick a random sort of ability, and when we talk prophecy and precognition.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Sounds good.
So, I bought a new book the other day. It was called. It's about the human fascination with apocalypse and prophecy and war and terrible things happening and at the end of the human race and all the rest of it. And it outlines these sort of fascinating, obviously from Nostradamus, who's one of the big ones, but things like the prophecies and revelations and all the rest of it, all these different sort of end time. So when are the end times coming, Rich?
Well, I don't think it is an end time. I think, to be honest, it's going to sound a bit nasty and dramatic, but I think we're already in them. So I think this.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, I think we're either in them or we're really close to the tribulation. Myself, but
real close to tribulation, eh?
Yeah.
So, come on, let's start with this. Do you have, or in your experience, have you had experience with like precognition, or have you had like visions of the future and stuff like that, with your mediumship, or have you dealt with that on a paranormal investigation level?
I have had precognition. It's happened to me quite a few times actually. I do find the subject fascinating. I do like quite a bit of research on people, prophets and stuff. No, it doesn't really. I sometimes if I'm about to go on an investigation, I think something's going to happen and it does.
Yeah.
But it's never like, it's. Sometimes you actually pick up the spirit as well.
Yeah, we have that. Yeah, we had one with one of the cases we had. Well, a few of the cases we had now. Yeah, we all had. We tend to find there's like different things will happen to the same thing will happen to like 5 different people who would be there that night.
Yeah.
And that with the lights.
Yeah.
Was it lights or something that there was a problem with?
Yeah.
And like about 5 of us had it before we went on a case.
Yeah, well, our lights kept flashing.
Sometimes you were car lights, and then someone else's like light bulb smashed or something, and we had like lights that wouldn't work or something. It was. Yeah. I can't remember exactly because it is documented. We have actually got that case actually documented in our private archives.
What I found though, and which I've tried to like for myself, if I've had something precognitive, it's always been 6 months.
Never.
Prior, yeah. And it's always worked out to roughly about 6 months.
So, what's your personal experience of precognition then?
I can remember a really strong one, and it was like I was working in a power station,
right?
And right above my cabin, because I was a security officer, was a pylon, literally above my cabin, and that did cause. I got to be honest, it did cause me to have some strange effects with my mediumship and different things. I found. But yeah, I was in the bathroom and my mate was there, and I had blonde hair at the time. I mean, it was quite long because of the grey. I did like the dye job, but you know what I mean. And
I don't see my hair.
Yeah, but this was I got used to it now. I'm going with the old Schofield look, but I back in the day I didn't like.
How long have you been grey then? How long have you been grey?
I've been grey since I was 20.
13, but.
Was it?
13, I started on my first grey hairs.
Never.
Underneath my cow's leg bed. I had a cow's leg, but do you know what a cow's leg would be? Yeah. A cow's leg. Yeah. There.
Well, I had a stripe I did on the one side.
Oh, you got that as well.
But past my year, yeah, I had it on the one side of my head. I was never a fan, because I've been a teen.
Yeah.
But I lost my track of thought now. What was I on?
A pylon.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I was in the mirror, and I was like, I flicked my hair, and it was like really, I dyed it, and it didn't come out the best colour. It was really yellow. And as I touched my hair, I saw my mate who was there, pulling off a junction, and a car hitting him. But it was the yellow that set off the vision.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god! And this was before I'd done the medium stuff and everything else. This was going back a few years. Like this was back just before 2000, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my god, what do I say? And I had to approach him about it. And I said, but do me a favour. I said, take your time on the way home. He said, what's the matter with you? Now you're weirdo, because I was, obviously I was always a weirdo. He said, what's the matter with you now, you weirdo? I said, I swear, I just saw you having a bump, but he said, please, just take your time on the way home.
Yeah.
It was like the first real, overtook what I was seeing in the mirror.
Yeah.
It literally come in like a flash of image, And, well, anyway, 6 months, he didn't have a crash on the way home, but 6 months later, in that time, he bought himself a little sports car, a little MR2, and it was bright yellow. And he was pulling off the junction in Glencoe, and he just got smashed up.
Was he alright?
He was hurt a bit, I gotta be honest, but it was, I described what happened. I said, there's something to do with yellow, and I said, you're pulling off a junction, you get smashed, and he'd only had the car 2 weeks, so it was like 5 months and 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He bought this yellow MR2, and then 2 weeks later, he smashed it up, but he was pulling off the junction. Where at the bottom of this, where we live.
So you actually had a yellow car then?
Yeah, it was that was quite. I thought, whoa, is that how it works? Do you know what I mean? So when it's happened since, I've tried to,
associate it with a colour or.
Yeah.
Can you, I've had things in dreams. I've had warnings in dreams. like before my brother passed away, I had like different warnings and stuff happen. But that was mainly sort of spirit like telling me stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like before my nephew's sister was born, I had a precognition of like my brother came through with a baby in arms, as if to say, and I knew that I was told like shortly after. One of the weirdest ones I ever had, right, is I was lying in bed one night and I dreamt I was in a friend's house, right, and I'd only just got to know this friend at this time, and she sort of come up, she lived in this different house to where she actually lived at the time. I didn't know where she lived at the time. And she sort of comes up to me and said, I just got to pop upstairs and I'll be back down now. So she had this other friend with her, she was just really sort of mopey, and so I sat there like, oh my god, how long are we going to wait here? And I remember they had French doors. Yeah. Now, I was sat on like a puffy, and there was like a futon, like a pull down bed then, right? And my old dog came in. Meg, right? So she came in wagging her tail, and you know, as she does, like, so give her a pet, and she died 6 months earlier. And then the other black dog come in, and I was like, what are you doing here? And I woke, and I just give him a bit of a fuss as well, and I woke up with a bit of a start at about 4 o'clock in the morning. And at 8 o'clock then, I'm on my way to work, and I had a feeling that, when Mum rang me, she was ringing me because something was wrong, and she said that just before, they'd found that the dog had just passed away at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So around that time, I'd had the dream that this dog had actually come and visited me in the dream. And I was mad because now my Dalmatian would always appear in my dreams because when I was very young growing up, I spent a lot of time with her, you know. I haven't really got into I've learned a lot from Sam, as Sam's learnt, and, you know, learned to train bagel and stuff like that. I've only sort of got into it more now, and, you know, found I was doing a lot wrong in those days and whatnot. But, you know, it was really strange. And the other one, obviously, is how we got our dog, the one we got now, and that was a strange sort of precognitive thing because Sam picked it up about 4 weeks before that this dog was around, and she described it down to the T, and then you know, it drove her nuts for about 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know if you remember it, but it drove her nuts, and we took her through meditations and stuff. And it was like, we didn't want a dog at the time. It was like you know, and then I asked, you know, if this is an actual dog, you know, can I see something? And I had the dog appear as an apparition next to me, and then one night, and then the other night I had a pillow being pulled from underneath me as I was lying in bed. And the weirdest thing is my mum picked up on it. Now my mum is a little open to spirit. She doesn't do a lot of it, but she picked up on the fact that there's this dog around us. So we kind of I think the order of events is slightly out of order here, but Sam did a bit of like channel writing, and she said that the dog is in like a pound, but there's a farmhouse next to it, and opposite is like stables. There's like a farmland, but it's a way out. It's in the middle of nowhere. But then she could see a car park with a red door. And about 2 days later, we found the advert for this dog, but the picture's like really obscure. But it was only we knew it was a beagle. It was only a beagle in the area, and we turned up in I think it was like sort of it was Lower Rondon area where she was. It was Tonrevel. Now I've never really been. I've driven through Tonrevel. Don't know the area that well. And we got told by the previous owner, to meet by the Red Cow. He gave us directions to the Red Cow in Tonrevel, which had a massive arched red door, which was Sam picked up, and a car park where we followed him over. He was in the middle of nowhere, and what we actually seen was exactly what Sam described. And then when I got out of the car, Sam was trying to make sure, she check everything. And my mum was trying to get out of the car. I just run to where I was drawn to, and I could see it just as I seen the apparition of her. That it was her, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And she recognised me and Sam straight away. I think he opened the door so we could handle her, and she just jumped into our arms and never really left. But that was the maddest. I think one of the maddest experiences we've had. Paranormal, premonition wise, what's going on there then? Because I can imagine if there's a conscious thing like what happened with our dog, or when you get a warning that something's going to happen, there's already a decision being made. So does that mean that what you were picking up with your friend, was there a decision being made that he'd learned something by crashing his car? Or
I think when you see stuff like that, I think that's it. I think it can't be changed. And it's the only aspect of this ability I don't like. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I mean, when I do, if I ever get it for someone, I've had a few personal experiences where I've acted on it and I haven't, and they've both gone bad. So it's the only aspect of my ability I don't like. But I think it's like anything. It's like, I don't know why it happens. I've got a feeling.
Well, what's your theory?
It's just that our minds, right? Because if science is what it is, our minds are linked to the time.
Well, if you think about it,
it's like a radio wave.
Yeah.
Right? They say time is a wave, and we just connect with it, and we just see that little snippet of the future. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's only an instant. But some of us are more susceptible to others. You know what I mean? But it is also a dangerous thing, I think.
Well, I kind of disagree with that, right? Because what I had explained to me, right? This is back in 2009, before I really ever started on this road, and it was something I had. Now I don't know if I've got the concept really right. It's something I'm researching at the moment. But it was like there's a book on it I've got in there. I bought it when we did the interview with the Wizards a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's called The Time Workshops. But the way I had it explained to me, right, is that if you have a hard drive, this computer here, right? Yeah. This computer I've got in my hand, it has a hard drive. And on that hard drive, it's got several different bits of information, yeah? It's got films, it's got, music, it's got everything else. Now you've got the processor. Now imagine if the processor is consciousness, right? So on the hard drive, that's information, and the memory is the mechanism that you use to actually activate the information, right? On the hard drive, the processor is essentially the brain of the computer that figures out what to actually do with the information,
Yeah.
And then you have the interface then, which is the keyboard, the mouse, the monitor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the speakers. Essentially, the five senses. You have your touch.
Yeah.
Taste is a form of touch, I guess, isn't it? You have your hearing and you have your sight.
Yeah.
And what was it? Sight, sound, hearing, touch, taste. So basically, you've got them all in there. Now, essentially, when the computer knows, if you've got a film on you you've never seen, the computer knows what's happening every second of that film. But when you watch it from beginning to end, you are experiencing it. So you're experiencing that film from the start to the finish, the timeline, just like the timeline that's recording this conversation. But if you think, if all consciousness is one, right, then perhaps we're and the only part of time we perceive is now. Whatever happens, we're experiencing it now. So what if it's actually happening all at once? Right? All the choices we could make, all the choices we could possibly make, all of it sort of vibrating at different frequencies, or the same frequency, or whatever. All of it sort of vibrating. So every single choice that you make, it's happening all at once. It's just the fact that we perceive it as a timeline.
Yeah.
It's all down to our perception of it.
Yeah.
And if, for example, you try and change an event and from the wrong perception, it'll probably just still go bad. But if you actually change your perception of it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In order to change the event, say for example, let's take the guy with the smashed car. Some events, it's like Doctor Who, I think, some events are fixed.
Yeah.
You know, I think when you got a date stamped on your head to go, you go in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think, you know, you decide that before you come, and you know when that time is up, your time is up, and you go back home, and then you do whatever you do over there, and then you come back here after you're done. Do you know what I mean? And the process begins again. But I've kind of forgot my trail now of thought. But if you're all sort of, if it's, as I said, if it's all happening at once, if you change your thinking, that was it. If you change your thinking, so what the point of that premonition could have been was, look, you need to change your approach to driving, not just on this way home, but actually change his approach to driving in general. If he changed his approach to driving in general, that eventuality wouldn't have happened. That's why you get the 6 months.
I don't know. I think there's certain points that are predetermined.
Yeah.
But there's just different avenues to get to that same point.
Yeah.
It's like
I think I agree with that as well.
I think that's more. For me personally, I just think there's certain things. There's certain big events which can go either way, right? And it's down to you whether you decide to go that way or the other way.
And what will happen is if you miss that big event, it'll come round again.
Yeah.
Because the way I had it explained to me is the universe is not punishing you when it brings on the same thing. It's actually giving you an opportunity to grow.
To change it.
Yeah, because if, like, say for example, the example I use of this is like certain people, they get into abusive relationships and then they'll pick a similar type of guy again and they'll get into the same relationship and they'll pick the same, and they keep going through a cycle. Yeah. Now they would think, oh, well, why is the universe punishing me?
If they changed who they were looking for, maybe they find the right
exactly.
way. Yeah.
Because the universe is actually giving you an opportunity. It's like we had it with.
That's why I don't like the ability.
Yeah.
Right? Because especially like when you do mediumships, sometimes you get stuff for the future. I don't like to give it. I'm not going to lie. I just keep. They didn't know it in the first place, so I won't tell you. That's how I look at it, and that's just my personal preference. It's not everyone's preference. I've had quite a few debates on this. Yeah. But if you didn't know it in the first place, you're not going to know anyway.
I think there is that, but most of the time when they give you stuff for the future, it's stuff of which, if you had that information yourself, this is the way I look at it.
I don't like it for myself though.
No, what I'm saying is if you had that information yourself by conventional means, let's say for example, right, I was giving you a reading and I brought through your grandfather, right, and your grandfather says to you, it goes on probabilities. It looks like you might get a promotion at work soon. Right? Yeah. Now your grandfather could have been present without the knowledge at, let's say, your line manager, right, goes to your area manager, says, right, in a month's time I'm leaving. I've given my 30 days notice, but your organisation hasn't made that public yet, whilst you have the reading, right? But your grandfather might have that information, right? So he will then say, right, okay, I know that manager is looking at Richard to take that person's place. Do you know what I mean? So it's information, it's already there. Yeah. It's just the fact that you are not privy to it. And I think that's where a lot of, especially, that's where I feel a lot of like future predictions actually come from.
I when it comes to things like that, I do not like giving them job, because the thing is, it's up to you. If, like you said, that promotion's there. Now you might think, I've already got a job, so you might go into that interview being all chilled out.
Yeah.
Right? It could work for you, but it could work against you.
That's, I think, people don't understand it. It's probabilities. Yeah. You have a probable chance, and he's giving you that information to empower you. Look, if you work at it, he's looking at you already, so just give it that extra well.
Or you could,
but most people will think, oh, I've already got the job,
Yeah, I don't need to do nothing.
I don't need to do nothing.
This is why it's dangerous. I tell you a prime example, right? And this is a biggie, because this changed the world. Was Hitler. right? Now, he was friends with a psychic, right? I don't know if you know the story of the mandrake.
No.
Well, he was given a mandrake, right, in the shape of a person, and he was told, as long as you keep this mandrake on you, you'll be alright, and you're going to change the world.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't change it. He changed Germany for the better, because he lifted it out of poverty.
Yeah.
Right? But what he did wasn't better in the world's eyes.
No.
And what he did to the people that he the things he did. But he believed it. He kept that mandrake, and he was told that by a medium. So, I mean, this is where it's, you know what I mean, that predetermined his vision of the future.
But then perhaps you were actually given that vision in order for that to actually happen in the grand scheme of things. I'm not debating that would happen with Hitler, but perhaps if you give someone information that... if you're my argument is as well, if you're given it, what right do you have to withhold it?
Well, my right is that I'm the one being given the information.
Yeah?
That's the way I look at it. I'm the messenger. So if I'm the messenger, I should choose what I do with the message. That's how.
Yeah.
That's my personal. That's just my prayer. I've had it done to me, and I know how it affected me. Yeah. Somebody said somebody's going to do something to you, and everybody I knew was a suspect.
Yeah.
Everybody. Somebody's going to do something bad to me, and everybody was a suspect, and it affected the way I acted with everybody. And this is why I don't like it. I really watch. You know what I mean? If something comes up, if it's not said by spirit and it's something I've picked up personally, then I think I'll if the information I think is going to affect your life, I will hold on to it. You know, obviously nothing dreadful. You know what I mean? I'm not that. You know what I mean? But I would hold on to it if I thought it would just affect the way you act. It is. It's like Nostradamus predicted about something about the war, right? Now Hitler, when he was trying to invade France, dropped the flyers. He actually got planes, instead of dropping bombs, they dropped flyers. And Nostradamus' prediction, because he's like a big celeb basically, an ancient celeb in France, because he predicts that Hitler would win the war.
Yeah. Now
they were like, oh well, if he said it, it must be true. So what's the point in fighting? And that was the thought behind dropping the leaflets. Do you know what I mean? So it's I don't know. I find it. Why didn't Nostradamus see that? That's what they would use his predictions against the people he was predicting them for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. This is twitching terrible.
Yeah, it's just dreaming. It's that's what I mean. It's a dangerous field. It is. I find it a very dangerous subject. Predictions.
It's mad, isn't it? Because sometimes you can get a premonition about where you left your glasses or something.
Yeah, I mean, some of them. I mean, sometimes I get little ones like, and they're nothing. You know what I mean? But then you can get big ones, and you think, oh.
What's the biggest one you've had then?
9/11.
Now, we had a really strange over 9/11.
The bombing in Boston.
What happened there?
The London bombing. I saw. But I didn't know. I gotta be honest, I didn't interpret it as that's what it was.
Right.
Now, obviously, it's like Penn and Teller. I remember that they give an interview. When anybody knows the future that affects that many lives and doesn't give it, should be really ashamed of themselves. Right? But I never. It's only after the event that I thought, oh my god, that's what it was. That's the problem with it. If you could predict it, 9/11.
So what did you see with 9/11 then?
I kept seeing something world changing, and I kept seeing it on the news. And I didn't see the airplanes, but I did see a city on fire. I couldn't tell you what city it was.
Yeah.
But the feeling was the most powerful. That something terrible. And this is the thing, right? What happens around the world is terrible, right? Every single day. So that's why I think, well, why can't I see all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think with 9/11, it was more the fact it was made so public.
Yeah.
That you couldn't get away from it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it was there. And you could feel it and see it and sense it, like. And I know that from a lot of people had the same feeling.
No, well, we had it. I was only 16 at the time. It was just, this I would say was a coincidence. So we were just talking about. We were walking around the valleys and we were just talking about overconfidence then of America, right? And we were having a discussion. It was a friend and I were having a discussion, and we were saying, America is open to attack. Look at the World Trade Center. I wouldn't, and I think I'm not going to go too much into it, but he said to me, you can imagine that probably happening soon. It was just a genuine sort of juvenile conversation of just two, I think we were 16, 17 at the time, and just two people trying to make sense of the world and looking back onto it. And he'd said, we both said something, and we were talking about it and sharing information, because I think at the time, being sort of media students, we sort of got into the news and looking at different things and just sort of generally finding our feet. And we said, how long is it going to be before that happens? Because we were talking about Pearl Harbor, and there was the last attack on. And the next day he's ringing me saying, "Put on the news, America's under attack." And I'm thinking, "You're joking, you're lying." What are you on about? We were on about this last night. This is a wind up, and he had to sort of give me like. He really had to push me just to put my TV on, because he was like, it was just one of those really crazy coincidences that we just happened to be talking about it the night before.
Yeah.
And 7/7 I was completely oblivious to. I was in the bank at the time. Yeah. And
well, I kind of stuck with me that one because it's my birthday.
Yeah, I was thinking that on your birthday came up on my phone the other day.
So it happened on my birthday. That's what day my actual birthday, like. So
yeah.
But I think with these events, the reason they're so strong on a psychic level is because they change a mass opinion.
Yeah.
Like I've seen other things, but these things change a mass opinion, and like that it goes back to the old thing we've talked about on this, where we connected.
Yes.
So I mean that's why I think why that's picked up more.
But if time is connected, you imagine something like that would actually come back through time. It would reverberate. It'd have a shockwave, wouldn't it? If you think about a shockwave, would be almost spherical, I suppose, wouldn't it? It would just go.
Yeah. Because
it affects so many people,
But so many people have an opinion on it, and so many people think about it. That's why you're seeing it.
But not just the people who are affected by the event, the actual fear it creates.
Yeah. Well, 9/11, I mean, they went on. They did go on about fear for a long time.
Yeah. But even like it's changed the way like our creative media has been, outputted. It's actually, I suppose it's done more to change public opinion in the last sort of 50, since the Second World War, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's sort of one of the big, and I suppose you just gotta kind of learn not to live in fear of it, I suppose.
Well, I think it was. I mean, I don't know. You got to watch what you say, really, haven't you? But I think it was the point was missed, in the fact that why, under any circumstances, did it happen?
Yeah.
Who's responsible? And what could be, the cause of it was all skipped over.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? in all circumstances, on both sides, it was sort of like really skipped over and really like demeaned for myself personally, right? Do you know what I mean? It was really like, it was, I don't know, it's a subject I've looked into a lot of it, like, and it's just something like, I don't know, it's a funny subject for me.
Interested. So, to round this interview off then, because I think we're going to start getting a little push for time now.
Yeah.
To start rounding things off, what sort of things now can we sort of look into? What does the rest of 2014 hold for you then?
Well, like I said, I got a couple of projects lined up. I'm hoping to try and get them up and running. And then, well, hopefully, I can start helping people again with,
the paranormal.
The paranormal. I was going through things, and maybe a bit more than that if I can. Like, if I, maybe on a bigger public level is what I'm trying to look into. Like,
yeah.
And I hate turning into a circus. It's not about ghost hunting and things like that. It's more about experiencing the paranormal for what it is, for why it is, and sharing it, and
really sort of opening up, people's minds, because the more people have experiences, the more sort of opinions are going to be on there, and I think that it's something that's fun to sort of share with people, even if they have a different opinion to you.
Yeah,
I love debating about the paranormal with my more skeptical friends, because I find it really keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get you. Do you know what I mean? And it's nice just to sort of like, they will think of things that you don't.
Yeah.
And that's really refreshing, because they think of things that you don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's. It would be good to sort of have more of a balanced. I'd love to do. I want to do a web series. I'd like to set a paranormal group up, not to do the same thing as you, but to actually be able to do a web series.
All right, yeah.
Of investigating different venues, and we could like do it for people, but like see if if people look at would want it documented. Then
I would like I tell you what I get the chance to say. I would like to show people, right, the people on the other side look at the things we do and the way we act.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, if only you could see. You're doing the same things I did. You're making the same mistakes I did. And that's what I want people to see.
Yeah.
That's the big thing for me. Like, I want people to know that that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And share the paranormal. I love sharing the paranormal. I love showing people what really goes on and everything that happens. But that's the big one for me. That's my big goal.
Yeah.
Is to make people see that that's what they're trying to say all the time. Like, oh, please don't make the same mistakes I did in my life.
And not just that, please, like, open your consciousness up, because there's so much, even just, like, I think that's why I find my mediumship is starting to, I'm starting to lose interest in it, because it's just such a small part of such a big thing, and I find that I like to do mediumship and stuff, but I want to start doing it where it really empowers people, because I tend to find that I give people a reading and they're back in a couple of months' time and they want it again. I'm thinking, it's not empowering enough.
It's not empowering, but I tell you why that is, Jazz, because some people find it really hard to deal with bereavement.
I get that. I mean, I'm not saying.
No, there's some people I know what it's like. We know the score.
Yeah,
we've had the same people
that,
just can't. They have a reading after reading after reading after reading after reading, and it's just going over the same old stuff. And they're not really interested in connecting with someone. They want to know their future. They want to know their future. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But there's some people who need that little bit more.
Yeah.
Because they just. It's hard. I find it hard. It's like my grandfather. I miss him. I'd love to just sit down and listen to his old pit stories, just for 5 minutes, one more time.
You're a medium?
Yeah, I do talk to my grandfather, but just sit there. Do you know what I mean? And just sit.
I haven't done it for a while, but I've done that with Jonathan a few times. Just sat there and talk. I've sat there and actually had conversations with Jonathan, like I would sitting here having a conversation to you, and I've answered him, and you know,
I just like the look of the, you know, in the flesh is something like in like his stories, because you know they were always the same old stories. They would tell me the same ones every week, but I would sit there every week and listen to them. And you know, I sometimes like right deep down inside, I wish I could just sit next to him and go, "I Gramps, you know what I mean? Dan, right? But what's happening?" But yeah, some people.
Shouldn't. Here's a question. I think to sum up this up, some of the question we've been debating. People who work in a more spiritual sort of way, and I mean spiritual. I'm defining a difference between spiritual and religious.
Yeah.
Because you can be both.
Yes.
Right? Should we not do more to try help people and try sort of... shouldn't we do more to actually create a voice in the world? Do you know what I mean? To really be empowering. Because what I find is more empowering is when I actually, and I've done it in a few readings, when I actually get people to experience spirit themselves, that's the bits I like. Yeah. I can sit there and talk to them until I'm blue in the face and give more information they'd need. Yeah. It's still past information. The relationship has moved on. Yeah. I know that sounds really horrible, but it's a truth. It's not a truth.
It's a certain type of state of mind, though, to awaken the spirit.
Yeah, obviously. But what I'm saying is that most people will. I have got them to actually experience certain things.
Yeah. And it's all well and good saying you're spiritual, right? Yeah. And it's all well and good saying about this and that, be about meaning, but to experience real spirituality is something that will change your life.
It does.
It changes your whole aspect. It changes everything.
It's not just that. The more you sort of go up it, the more you sort of go into it, the more it changes you. But what I'm saying is you know, shouldn't that sort of have, you know, it's a gentler way of life, and I think that people, you know, the more I go into it, the less material attachments I'm getting. Yeah. And it doesn't mean I'm becoming more.
You have people in the world, right? You've had Gandhi, right? You have different people who could have changed the world for the better, right? Easily, if they were in charge of the world.
Yeah.
Wow, what a world! They weren't, and their story gets.
But if you had a group of people, why not just drop the microphone? If we all got together and did something,
well, you might have more of a chance.
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying.
That's what that's my ambition. That's with Spiritual Worldwide, I've spoken about a few times. It's the project. That is my goal, is to get a group, as many like-minded people as I can together, and let's see what we can do with that. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
No, sounds like a plan, mate.
No.
I'll be in on it if that's okay.
Yeah, well, it's only a website at the moment, but you know, it's an ambition. Do you know what I mean? You know, it could just be an organised voice. It might not change. It might not change anything, and you know, it might just be a pie in the sky dream. But you know, it's the old jellyfish story. You know, about 1,000 jellyfish, 1,000 jellyfish running around on the shores of a beach, and a vicar walks by and he sees a boy chucking them back to the sea, and he says, "Why are you doing it? You're not going to make a difference to everyone." And the boy ignores the vicar and picks up another jellyfish and launches it back into the sea and said, "Well, I made a difference to that one."
Yeah.
So I think, you know, that's what I'm all about. That's what I want to do. And I want to start doing spiritual development classes as well. That sounds good.
Yeah. Do it.
Bit of fun. Right, I think we're going to head this interview off. You've been listening to Worlds Beyond. We might do a little bit of back with Jared in the studio, depending on the time he has left. And any final words, Rich?
Not really, but no, I think I said it all.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah, don't do drugs. Yeah, look after yourselves and each other. But a cherry there, no. Yeah, just keep a lookout. Things to come, and you know, like I said, if you are investigating or you are interested in the paranormal, then look for people who's interested as well. It's better, nothing better than information shared.
Experience shared is experience multiplied.
Yeah. So, you know, get in touch with other people and share it and organise things. Go on Facebook, look for me.
Check out the word of the book.
Look for me on it.
Richard Oliver.
Yeah.
From Pontypridd. Right, you'll be listening to Worlds Beyond. This is Jared Walters signing off on Ron the Radio.